it's me once again, the one and only Killer Rodan. So, for today's video, I figured I'd just do a follow up video where I'll be just doing my take on Life is Strange, the first one that was released. And briefly, before the storm, I kind of mixed up the two a little bit. And because it's supposed to be connected anyway, like going on simultaneously to some extent. Yes, Chloe is still going to be in this one, but yes, the thing is that the whole bit where she and Max go into this van thing that belongs to Frank as a way to do some kind of investigation because of Rachel. Yeah, this whole section here, it doesn't happen. It literally does not happen because of the fact of what I did in the in my previous video where she actually survives. I mean, yes, I do realize this severely alters the continuity from this point forward for the rest of the series. Just because there were major changes in continuity, as mentioned a moment ago, does not mean it's going to prevent other problems from arising. Because, or at the very least, prevent previous problems. Because the whole bit where, like, it was discovered that Nathan has something to do with Kate's suicide, like she got drugged and again and drugged as well, on drinking too much, of course, or whatever. And and yes, the fact that that video was recorded, all of this is charges between I guess Nathan and whoever else may or may have been a part of it, which yes can be considered sexual assault, quite out. And yes, revenge porn is against the law, folks. And yes, the thing is that another tidbit here I wanted to say in the previous video is that the thing is that yes, it was confirmed that Nathan had some serious crushes on Rachel, which would prompt a problem, at least in my version of events. Yes, quite clearly, the two characters, Chloe and Rachel, will have some flashbacks to before the storm because of the fact that they had some good times. I mean, there was some drama there because of Rachel's family and whatnot, what her father had done, what she perceived that what he's cheating on the mother and whatnot. Yeah, that's still going to be a thing. That'll still be a part of this continuity. Some things, okay, a lot of things will still be there. But the thing is that since Nathan has a serious crush on Rachel, this would uh, be a problem. So we're going to get some plot development here because he's still going to be chasing after her quite a bit. So the thing is that also going to be some tension between Max and yes, Kate as well, because like I was said, the whole revenge porn was done against her consent and whatnot. So, which can be considered sexual assault. Which yes, quite obvious with anger, Max, because she considered her as her girlfriend and this point of the story. Since, like I said in my previous verse, she kind of broke it off from what was going on with Rachel and Glory to kind of just pay them some respect, of course. You know, okay, I'll keep my distance. I'll just do my thing here. And I just do my own thing with her. So she wants to do some kind of investigation, of course. This kind of a thing would be brought to Chloe because, like I was saying before, she did. When I say she, I mean Max did have some feelings for Chloe, but realized it's not going to work out at all, pretty much no matter what. So she should want to respect the boundaries and whatnot. Yes, the whole thing with Frank can still be a thing in this version of the story. This is one of the most important aspects of this. It's still gonna be a thing in the story. This has to happen for a lot of reasons to occur. And yes, I did not forget about the teacher. Quite obvious, which I get to in just a second. But yeah, Frank needs to happen. Yeah, the teacher character. Yeah, Miss the Jefferson, he's a creepazoid. Like I said in my previous video, there has to be like somebody, something that's after you. Something, someone wants you dead. Something, someone wants to torture you. And he could be that character. We need a character like this for a lot of this to work. The assistance of Chloe, Kate, and yes, quite clearly Rachel as well. Max does like this whole Scooby Doo thing and does the investigation of the whole revenge porn, Frank, Nathan, all of which points to what the teacher has been doing. The teacher of the photo class, yeah, this creepazoid right here, and he found out. I mean, I should say they found out what was really going on. The these criminal needs to be put down. And let's just say he does realize that, yeah, the police department is after him. And yes, with due process and all that, just fair trial, yada yada yada, and all that, just that has to be done, which he does realize. Even if there's heavy evidence against them, there still need to be the whole due process. Even though it's a truckloads of information, a lot of details going against us, like so much evidence going against him. So he knows eventually if he could cause, he wants to do something to prevent him from going to jail. Having a three-way, so this could create tension between the two of them. Okay. What I'm trying to get at here is that I'm again complaining about the writing here. The writing is kind of is kind of ass in a lot of ways. Again, with I'm just talking about the first game on this prequel. The writing does need some work. I do like both games. Both games are really enjoyable. Yes, they are. But the writing has some problems because, for one, okay, the whole relationship between Rachel and Chloe, like it was not clearly defined. I mean, yes, they both were dating. Yes, they were having a relationship. Yes, they did clearly love each other. Of course, yes, there was no denying any of that. But the terms of said relationship were not exactly clear. So it's not really defined in that sense. So again, for like the 100th time already, I'm not giving much information here. Like the whole bit with the video that was made about with Kate against her consent. Like, who were the bullies that did this? So why why didn't they go to jail for this? Because that would consider as revenge porn, and of course it would also be considered as sexual assault as well. So it was, I guess, Nathan was a part of this kind of a thing. So it was quite clear that he has some kind of a connection to that. Like, what specifically? I'm not. He was responsible for this entire thing. Maybe, but I'm also thinking, okay, why didn't he go to jail? Why didn't he have any legal consequence to what he had did? That'd be considered sexual assault because of what had happened between Kate. So, I mean, there was also drugs involved as well. So, but what kind of drugs? I don't know. But again, I know that alcohol was also involved. So as well, that's like charges on top of charges on top of charges. How many other people were involved as well? I'm not quite too sure either. Is it just Nathan? Tornado thing. Let's just say that's a manifestation of all the stress. Okay, let's just say that was because of the whole stress, all the ghosts and whatnot. Like I was saying earlier, all some kind of special force just manifested into that tornado thing. And like that's well, which apparently, according to the I guess the video game's lore, would occur like every 5 years. Maybe this time around it's because of her. I guess. Which I guess we're working with that. I guess. But just for the sake of the argument here, let's just say Rachel maybe it was resistant against it. Maybe, but after some warming up to some after some heavy convincing, okay, I'll just make a judgment card here and say that okay, she's okay with having a three relationship, and I guess these three characters are going to be happy with each other and whatnot. So that is out the way, nipping in the bud, so to speak. But then, of course, there's the whole thing with Kate. They still fix that, of course, with her situation, obviously. So that's still be a bit of a thing there. So of course, yes, obviously, that still be something you have to deal with, obviously. And let's just say that, oh, okay, they hunt down Nathan, and then he gets arrested. Of course, he gets arrested, and whoever else was involved. And yes, legally, this can be used as a way to get him in jail. And again, whoever else involved. Yes, I know the whole thing with the whole idea of justice blind. Of course, everybody deserves a fair trial, and yada yada yada. And of course, that's still going to be played in this like into this version. Of course, again, I'm complaining about the writing in this game. At least it's kind of ass. Again, we never realized the full extent of what happened with Nathan and whoever may or may not be involved with the video of Kate. It was never fully explained. Not really. And yes, even if you saved her, which I did in my playthrough, by the way. So did Air Force. We even played this. We both saved her, and that can still play in this version, of course. But even then, we don't get much of an aftermath of it. Not really. So this is a serious issue. The tragic outcome for Kate, who being bullied, unoptimally feeling so desperate, reflects how uh, reflects how maybe how she left out the cruelty and society indifference. I mean, it kind of puts too much on my end because there's way too many loose ends here. So I'm gonna have to spend more time trying to fill up the holes here, folks. Of course, obviously. Then okay, what about Kate's parents? I don't know. I don't know how Kate's parents felt about this, since considering the fact that her parents are really like super religious. So how did the church feel? I don't know. What about the community? I don't know. What did the school do? I don't know. What about the principal really? I mean, the school would have done something about this to some extent, but they kind of just brushed it off like whatever, which is kind of really rude when you think about it. But then the whole thing with Victoria over here, she would have been a lot more nicer compared to otherwise because she was a complete asshole towards her. But of course, that would have been erased entirely, quite clearly. But anyway, so her personality really would have been changed quite a bit because there's some people she would never met because of this. And yes, obviously, yes, some characters, the side characters, I should say, still exist in this version as well, as I stated earlier. But again, I want the primary focus to be between Max and the character of Kate because I want to focus on their friendship. But if you want to add like another twist here, what if Kate actually starts to have feelings for Max because she's been there since the beginning? So there could be an added stress. So what would Max have to tell, I guess, the characters of Chloe and Rachel? How will this turn out? And yes, the school itself is starting to take some of the credit for preventing her suicide, which of course is completely asinine, if you ask me, but whatever. That seemed really bugged me, if you ask me. But the thing is that maybe through this kind of shared trauma experience, these two start to like each other in that way too. So this could add to the stress, like I was saying earlier. Could be like trauma sharing, I guess you would say. Yeah, if anything, this is probably just coming out more convoluted than it should be. But okay, yes, I'm aware of the fact that Kate's parents are really strict and they're Christian conservatives. I guess Kate herself must be one of those conservatives who are just doesn't make a big deal about the whole LGBT. I mean, like the vast majority would. But let's just say the both of them start to have feelings for each other, quite obviously, at least in this version. But then the whole thing she was doing with, granted, this probably because when you think about it, wouldn't this be considered as like a four-way relationship? Yeah, I mean, technically, yeah, it would. But okay, let's just say that Maxwell just breaks it off with the other two and just goes out with her instead. Because may have something in common. Like I was saying earlier with the whole stress, this whole force thing, ghost and whatnot, I guess you can say. But of course, the whole clearly Max would still have to be dealing with the whole memory thing that I mentioned earlier, ending of the game. It would play more or less the same way, but there are some exceptions. But yes, the character of Max would have still ended up here regardless, with the exception of, let's say, Victoria, because Victoria would never met up with Zen because she was pretty much like the teacher's pet in the beginning in the game, and then any other victim of this kind of a thing. But yes, she would have information about this dark room of his, and as a result, she will have to do her best to have this individual arrested. Granted, that does happen in the game. She does make it sure that he is arrested. Wouldn't this mean that Nathan would have not died in this version? No, yeah, of course not. He would not have died in my version of the story. This would just mean that I guess under pressure, Nathan will just rat it out, Mr. Jefferson, about his location and whatnot, and with all the evidence that he would have quite clearly. And now the character Nathan, he was pretty much like a snob. Quite clearly, he was this arrogant individual. Oh, I have a lot of money. My family has connections. That was like his whole. But he basically would switch sides. And I do realize that his family is really wealthy and had this big influence and all that. I'm aware that would still be played here quite clearly. But he was just automated switch sides, which would have been somewhat ironic because consider what happened in the game because he's the reason that Chloe died. But even though Max saved her, so but anyway, but like I said, the whole bid with Victoria would not play it out here. Max herself, she would be the only one here, pretty much, along with the other victims. And yes, quite clearly, Max would again go back in time with all the information and whatnot. That still would have been a thing here. So yeah, she's like, oh, what the hell? This, this would have definitely came out of like some weird, surreal kind of a thing. It just seems really odd. Like she witnessed this entire thing. Now she knows the actual truth about like every detail about the entire thing. So this just feels really bizarre, really weird. And yes, I did not forget about the whole thing where Max has to put up photos of some kind of gallery and whatnot. That can still be a thing in the story. That can still play out here quite clearly. I'm not ignoring specific details, quite obviously. But anyway, yes, the teacher would have been viewed as a traitor. He's an asshole, quite clearly. He's an oddball. Well, that's an understatement, I know. But yes, the whole photo gallery thing would have still played out. And because that does become like a plot point in the game, I still want that to be an important thing here. Yeah, thing is going to be played out here still. Again, very big key moments like the whole tornado thing is still going to be a thing. Horror getting killed off and later, I guess, saved in the bathroom, and having Chloe falling around Max for the vast majority of the story. That still would be a thing. And having, I guess, sacrifice the town for Chloe. Instead of being lovers, let's just say it's out of friendship, I guess. And yes, the whole thing where Max prevents Kate's suicide. That's still gonna be a thing. And then the whole bit where she visits Kate at the hospital. That's still gonna be a thing. But just major changes with everything else. Because for one, yes, like we're saying, if they remain a couple, there's gonna be some vast changes. Because fast forward 10 years after the events of this story, yes, this doesn't mean that she won't have a relationship. When I say she, I mean Max won't have a relationship. Will have any relationship with this character? Maybe that's assuming if Kate and Max stay together. So that's a big iffy in that regard. So a big maybe, big maybe. I mean, it still be like a story to tell of her. I guess if she's wanting to tell about past experience when it comes to romance life, because people do break up from time to time. It's not possible. But anyway, like I was saying, like when it comes to the first game, yeah, the whole thing with the gallery, and that's still going to be a thing in this game where Max herself is going to basically has to go there. I mean, yeah, it's going to eventually just lead up to the whole tornado thing. Quite obviously, it's still going to be a thing where it's still going to happen. It's like it's inevitable, and it's one of these things where no matter what you do, it happens. It's not going to be stressful. Like the whole stress thing I was referring to in the previous video, that can still be applied here quite clearly. It's just on the whole principle. Yeah, this guy, the principal. Yeah, he turns out to be a scumbag. Clearly, yes, Max can go back in time and escape the dark room and just give the people information about that dark room. So yeah, he came off. Oh, okay. I was able to get out of there. I was able to escape. I'm like, okay. Like, hold on a second. It's just the whole bleeding thing because too much, too much was changed out at once. I guess. part of this, okay, in large part, I should say, it was Nathan pretty much what goes to the cops and just pretty much snitched on them. I mean, when I say them, I mean the Mr. Jefferson, quite clearly. And this was because so much pressure because Rachel, Max, and of course Kate, and just pretty much having these students and pretty much a lot of other students, like a lot of the side characters, were getting on him. Like even Warden himself, even though he became kind of a creep. And yeah, because of with their assistance, a lot of stuff was altered. And they're like, okay, maybe I was able to have the one individual be sent to jail earlier on. And yeah, which to some extent still does happen in the game anyway. Like it'd just be a lot sooner in this case. Because Nathan realized there's like too much pressure. Granted, this does not make him a good person. What he did might have been good, but he's still not a good person. He's still going to jail because of the whole Kate situation, like I mentioned earlier. I'm recording without her consent. You got to do the whole thing with drugs. The whole thing with alcohol and all that jazz. That's he's still going to go to jail. What he might have done with the teacher might have been considered good, but everything else, he does not excuse all the other bad things. But okay, I like the whole thing with the art gallery, photo gallery. It's still going to be a thing because that's pretty much a part of her personality. She likes to take photos. There's going to be some grand event. I like this so fantastic. This is amazing. Like she's having the time of her life. She's acting as if like this. Okay, maybe my life is going swell and whatnot. And okay, maybe my parents don't want me to do this kind of thing. Maybe want me to do something in regards of like the medical field. Maybe be a nurse or doctor, or maybe I'm a lawyer instead. But she's doing quite well, and this is gonna be like a really good thing for her. Yes, the whole principal could be, I guess, one of the villains as well in this one, folks. And yeah, I mean, he already was kind of a scumbag because he does attempt to be like a really nice, sweet guy. But in reality, he was using the school's funds for something else. You're supposed to be like for a charity or something. And they had some kind of handicap thing for the students, like the special need kids or something. But he was basically siphoning it and whatnot for his own personal uses. So I guess go lean on that maybe to some extent in some ways. Yeah, he's on the gallery thing I just mentioned earlier for Max. At the moment, she's thinking, okay, I got everything solved. This kind of like a dream come true kind of a thing. I can lean in this in a more horrific way. Quite obviously, he's like one of those we call a hidden villain. He's in the background, one of my pulling the strings, so to speak. And yes, he could be in on it with the whole teachers thing as well. He could be in on that as well. On top of that, he's like one of those hidden villain. While outwardly indifferent or distracted, he might be involved in a darker underbelly of the school. Maybe he's the reason why maybe some hardcore narcotics are slipping into the school. Maybe some students will become addicted to specific drugs. I think it could be specially made drugs and whatnot, experimental drugs that were never on the market before. And I'm kind of going off on the idea that I know Kate was drugged, but the thing is, it never specified what kind of drug it was and whatnot. It was rather vague. So again, I kind of blame the writing in here, folks. So I'm just trying to, I guess, tweak it up. And if I had to do it, so kind of lean on that. Maybe those are huge plethora of drugs being into a school, and he's trying to just be act. Oh, nothing's going on. Nothing's happening. Blah blah blah. You don't know what's going on. And then when it comes to the bullying towards Kate, Max we're trying to interfere with the bullying, and yes, it could annoy the principal character. He's trying to put him on gaslight Max like she's the crazy one. There's no bullying going on. What are you talking about? What do you mean? You're just going insane. You can turn out to be a manipulative figure, and he can use his seemingly kindness to other students and whatnot, and to make that then turn the other students who don't know better against Max and Kate. Let's go into the whole thing with the stress thing I was mentioning earlier in the previous video. Could lean on that as well. And this could be a form of course, horror. And that teacher could be a horror creature. Not really a creature, but he could be like a monster, so to speak. A human monster, I should say. Yes, quite clearly. You can tell I'm pulling a blind eye to the suffering, which feeds into the horror theme of when it comes to the, I guess, social neglect. Social neglect can be a horror theme as well. A symbol of corruption. I guess you would say his demeanor and secretive behavior could, of course, symbolize the corruption of the obsessive system that allows bullying to run rampantly, the abuse, the trauma that could foster from this. And there could be like a few possible angles in which you can do this. Dark Secrets in the Office, Max, and maybe Chloe could discover that his office holds clues like maybe hidden files, recordings, symbols that could reveal his true nature or involvement. What's kind of was the thing anyway? And then maybe like the supernatural element, a horror twist that could involve the principle of being possessed or controlled by a malevolent force or spirit, like we say in the previous video, making him some kind of thing for some kind of supernatural evil that preys on the student's trauma and feeds into trauma, kind of thing. Maybe some kind of well, maybe another thing is a culprit or enabler. The principal activity perhaps could enable or turns on a blind eye to the victimization of students like Kate, as I mentioned a moment ago, making him responsible for the story's more than supernatural sense. Things just turn for the worse in a sinister way, as it turns out. The principal pretty much takes over the school because he has connections all the entire time. In other words, he pulls a puppeting on everybody, like he was the one individual behind the curtain. Like the Wizard of Oz kind of a thing with the wizard and whatnot. If you remember that scene with Dorothy, it's like that in a sense. He just basically just wanted to eliminate all the competition in that regard. Granted, yes, having all the competition was eliminated due to what Max had done because of the whole investigation. So, in other words, she had unintentionally provided his assistance for what he wanted to do, even though that was clearly not her idea. Talk about an ironic twist here. Perhaps he has his own version of the dark room. I guess you can say the principal could be portrayed as someone who is gradually gaining power, manipulating the staff, the students alike. His kind of creepy behavior might be hidden by this, I guess, ruthless ambition. He could be involved in a secret dealings or cover-ups, or maybe both. And yes, the supernatural influence. Perhaps he's possessed or influenced by some malevolent evil force, which could enable him to be, I guess, enable him to have more control over the school and its students, turning the environment to a pretty this nightmare. It could be used as a logical horror kind of way, even going that route, like the whole gaslighting thing, mind control, and yeah, this kind of atmosphere of fear, making the students feel helpless and trapped because, like, no matter what they do, it can happen. They have no way of putting against it. Yes, that's going on. Oh, definitely. So, yes, it continues to go on with this, quite obviously, because maybe there could be secret rituals, dark deeds. He might be involved in some kind of a cult, or maybe supernatural. I guess, in other words, these rituals, or if not both, within the school, giving him control over the environment or the student's fate. If you don't want to do that, maybe there's like a haunted thing, or maybe some kind of cursed school. The school itself could be have like a curse on it, maybe even going that route. I mean, you don't have to. You can still do the other things. Maybe the principal is a key figure, unleashing some kind of this maintaining, unleashing, or maybe maintaining the curse. Or maybe if not that, you can go on the route of maybe he could be using his own authority to silence or manipulate victims like Kate, turning the school into a place of terror rather than just education. Even going that route, maybe. Yes, quite clearly the this could be used as an opportunity to have the character Max to tell everybody in town to get out because what's going to happen later. And even though maybe a lot of people don't believe her because maybe she's viewed as a crazy person because of what the principal did, at least the students anyway. But yeah, speaking of the tornado, maybe she could still have visions of that tornado because it does come in the game here and there. Like it comes off spontaneously, and that's still. And yeah, she keeps having these visions, and that can still be a thing. These visions of what's going to come with the tornado thing, and she could use this as a way for people to get out of here. And this could cause some stress because these visions, it won't go. Well, there's premonitions or whatever you call them, keeps coming up. They keep bothering her. They just won't go away. They keep bothering her over and over again. It just won't leave. On top of all the other things I just mentioned, it just won't go away. It just keeps causing her stress. And why not? She needs to excuse herself from the art gallery, pretty much. And maybe she needs to call somebody. And maybe she needs to get some way to just make her feel like not so stressed out. Unfortunately for her, it's just that there's like too much on her plate. There's like too much to visit. There's too much to take care of. And yes, a tornado, it's still coming. It's still going to be arriving. There's like one of these things, like I mentioned before, it's inevitable. It can never be stopped. There's one of these things that absolutely cannot, it's still going to happen. You cannot prevent that. You cannot terminate this kind of a thing. And it's stressing her out real badly. And it doesn't help that some people out there don't believe her at all. Again, especially the students. So she has to find a way to figure out this entire thing, this entire shebang, because unfortunately for her, there's still plenty of things that's still wrong here. It's still an unfortunate reality for the character here. Alright, folks, I'm basically going to just cut this off here because, yeah, I realize it's starting to get very long. So ultimately, I'm going to just do a third and final part because I think that's going to, you shouldn't go beyond that. Even though, even though doing that's a bit much too. But anyway, thanks for watching and stay tuned for next time. See you.